Original post, March 31, 2024. This is a long and complicated story. I'm sorry if some things are confusing or don't make sense. I am a mess right now and trying to wrap my brain around everything also. I met my husband Jake about 4 years ago on Tinder. Jake comes from a different country to where I am from, but he was my type, and when we started talking, I was blown away by how charming and sweet he was. This version of Jake never went away. He has always been this amazingly charming and sweet person. He's the type of person that when you've finished having a conversation with him you feel better about yourself. He and I fell in love quickly and got married fast also. He was very eager to start a family as it gave him citizenship in my country, more legitimacy. By our second anniversary, we were married, and I was pregnant with our son. Jake still works in his home country, and so every few months he flies back and stays there with his mother, completes the work required, and then flies back. The rest of the work he can do at home. The last few years with Jake have genuinely been the most amazing years of my life, and this is why the last week feels like such a fever dream. This is hard to explain, but a person on Facebook messaged me last Tuesday claiming that Jake had been cheating on me and that they had proof. I genuinely didn't believe this person and at first just ignored them, but then curiosity got the better of me and I messaged back and asked what proof they had. They proceeded to send me a large collection of photos of Jake with another woman and 2 boys. I know these photos were relatively recent, as he dyed his hair blonde for the Barbie movie at my request, and has kept it like that ever since. The person told me that the woman in the photo was his wife, and the 2 boys were his sons. I obviously didn't want to believe it. I tried to find ways it was fake. Photoshop, AI, whatever, I don't even know. I think the person blocked me after that, as their account just comes up as Facebook user now when I look at the chats. When I got home, I confronted Jake and he started crying and confessed that everything was true, and that he had a wife and 2 sons, in his home country, that he was still married to the woman. I asked him how he could do this to me. How could he have lied to me for so long? I told him I was going to expose him to the other wife, and he said not to bother because she already knows and supports him. I left and have been staying with my mother ever since. This has been the hardest week of my life, and some days I genuinely haven't wanted to get out of bed. Jake has been texting me saying that he will break things off with the other wife completely if that's what I wanted, and he texted me saying he thought I wouldn't mind, which genuinely made me sob into my pillow. I have never felt so low. Part of me, stupidly I know, wants to take him back. The years I had with him were the best I have ever had, but this betrayal is just, I don't even know how to explain the hurt I feel. Update 1, April 4, 2024. Hi guys. First and foremost, I would like to thank you all for all the advice and support everyone has given me since I posted my original post 4 days ago. It's been over a week since I left to go stay at my mother's, and this time away from Jake has been so good for me, and allowed me to see what was really important to me. Since I originally posted, Jake and I have been talking and he let me know that he has broken things off with his other wife. Apparently, it wasn't even a legal marriage thing. He explained to me that when he was a child his parents and his wife's parents arranged for them to be married. This happened when he was 7 years old. But it wasn't a legal wedding, just like a ceremonial thing that links his family with hers. He said that he never actually loved her, but was required to marry her or his father had to pay so much to his wife's family as like punishment, I guess. I felt really bad for him. I could tell he didn't want to be with her at all, and was only doing it so his family was okay. The relationship isn't real on either side, which is what he was trying to tell me when he said his wife supports him. They're only married because they're required to be. I'm so relieved now he's explained everything to me. He told me he won't be contacting her again, but because of this we will have to send a small amount of money to the wife's family for the foreseeable future, which of course is not ideal. But it is better than the alternative of him going over to be with her every few months. I wish he had just told me the truth from the start. But don't worry, I've signed us up for couples therapy. I know this is likely not the results you guys expected or wanted, so many of you were so bloodthirsty for him without even understanding what he was going through. The thing that kind of concerns me now is what the relationship will be like between my son and his other half-siblings. I think I would like to foster a relationship between them if I can. I'm just glad to be back with Jake. I love him so much. TLDR, the marriage to Jake's other wife wasn't a real marriage, only something he had to do. Relevant comments. Comment 1. I find this pretty unbelievable. Have you talked with his wife to confirm any of this? OP. Not per se, but I can tell usually when he's lying, and he wasn't this time. Comment 2. Except for the whole double life thing, right? Apart from that, you read him like a book. Comment 3. Will you be paying into this money that is ostensibly going to the other wife's family? Or will he be paying it solely from his income? OP. I don't have an income ATM, so it can't come from me. Comment 4. Not a real marriage, yet they're half-siblings? OP. He had them before he even knew me. Comment 5. Yeah, you would have also been 10 or 11 when the oldest was born. Does that not shout red flag to you? OP. What has that got to do with anything? He wasn't dating me then? OP later edited in this remark before deleting her account. Edit, okay, I'm out of here. You all are bigoted of other cultures and traditions. You know nothing about me and Jake, and the fact that so many of you have tried to say he is a groomer shows how sick some of your worldviews are. Get yourselves sorted and get your acts together. Story 2, my husband has thrown me under the bus with his complete lack of a spine. Original post, January 29, 2024. My husband Owen and I have been trying for a baby for years with no luck. I would be happy to adopt, but Owen's family is against it and has influenced my husband to also be against it. After our second year of trying, I begged my husband to go with me to get a checkup to see if either of us or both of us is infertile. He was strongly opposed to this, as all the men in his family are extremely fertile, but eventually gave in, and as it turns out his sperm count is extremely low. He was heartbroken, as was I, and we both got therapy. After a year of no longer trying, I got pregnant but lost the baby, and we were devastated. Owen blamed himself and proposed that we start the process of getting into a family planning center for a sperm donor, which I agreed to. He asked me not to tell either of our families about this or our friends, and I agreed because I would never want to emasculate him. With the help of our donor, I was able to successfully become pregnant, and we had our little girl last year. She is healthy and progressing amazingly, and I thank God for her every day. I kept my promise and never told anyone. However, Owen is struggling with connecting with our little girl. Here is where the trouble begins. Last month, when he went out of town with his brothers for their friend's bachelor party. While on the trip, Owen told his brothers about our infertility issues and that our baby wasn't biologically his. One of his brothers must have told his wife, who told my husband's mother. I don't know why she would tell my husband's mother, except that she has never liked me. Their mother then came to our house and called me a lying whore and tried to get my husband to leave with her. He just stood there silent. I told her that it was Owen's decision not to tell anyone, and she asked him if this was true again. He was silent, which his mother took as me being the liar. She then went to our nursery and started taking everything she'd ever given us for the baby back. I told her I didn't care about it, and I made more than enough to buy everything she gave us myself in better quality. This set her off, and she called my baby a filthy bastard when she said that I did something I know was harsh, but I believe she deserved it. I physically pushed her out the door and threw all her things out with her. After spirits had calmed down, I realized my husband had said nothing when his mother was berating me, calling me a liar, and when she called our child a filthy bastard. So I asked him why he was silent. He said he wasn't raised to be disrespectful the way I was, and that his mother hadn't said anything that wasn't true. She was just hurtful with what she'd said, and that we should let it go and wait for his mother to forgive us. I told him that I would never let it go, that his mother and anyone who agreed with her was not welcomed in our home, and that I don't need to be forgiven when I've done nothing wrong. He then said the house was his, and as the head of the family it was his decision. I told him fine, but why did he allow her to call me a liar and a whore? Those things are not true, and our child should be called a bastard. He just repeated he would not argue with his mother. After that, I stopped speaking to him and started gathering up my daughter's things and purse and walked out the door with her. He tried to stop me and told me I couldn't take his daughter anywhere without him, and I lost the little bit of composure I had left. I told him she wasn't his daughter. He'd proved he didn't see her as his daughter when he'd allowed his mother to call her a filthy bastard, and told him she wasn't his. He broke down into tears and begged me to come back inside, but at the time I felt nothing. He looked pathetic to me. I've taken my baby with me and gone back home to my parents and finally told my family the truth, which feels so good. They are completely in support of my decision and are not allowing my spineless husband anywhere near us, as he still refuses to apologize to me or set the record straight with his family. However, I told the sister-in-law the truth, and she told the rest of his family. Half of his family is understanding while the other side is on his mother's side, but they all are mad at my husband. I need time to cool down, but I know eventually my husband and I need to figure our marriage out. One thing is for certain, I will not return to his house until he apologizes to me, and promises to protect me and his daughter fiercely. I want to see this in action form, starting with him telling his mother what she did was wrong and banning her from coming to see us until she asks for my forgiveness. We were also planning on having more children, as he wants a big family, but that is off the table as I don't believe he is ready, and we both need to get back into therapy. Relevant comments. Comment 1. Ask yourself this: do you believe he is capable of changing? Everything he has said and allowed to be said to you is nothing but disrespectful. OP, I am beginning to conclude he does not love me enough to change or protect us. Comment 2, does he have any redeeming qualities? It does not seem so, and I'm sure you are aware there is nothing worth saving. Please don't allow yourself or your child to continue to be abused by these total assholes. OP, I will most certainly never allow my baby to be abused verbally or physically, and his redeeming qualities are few. Comment 3, I am confused. Your husband had a low sperm count, but he was still producing sperm, and the IVF clinic would normally harvest your husband's sperm, choose the healthiest candidate, and then inject it directly into one of your eggs. Why did you decide to get a third-party sperm donor when your husband was still producing sperm, albeit at a much lower quantity? Defective sperm and low sperm count are not the same thing. OP, a healthy donor was less expensive and had a higher chance of success than IVF. We've had many friends who did IVF and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars only to have no results and or more miscarriages. We explored all our options thoroughly and he chose this one. Update 1, February 1, 2024. I want to start by thanking those who were so kind. Your words of encouragement and advice were greatly appreciated. Here is my update. Apparently, after I left my husband's house, my mother-in-law, brother-in-law, and sister-in-law accused me of cheating. I'd already begun speaking with a lawyer after Owen refused to tell the truth to his family, but knowing he let them tell other people I cheated is like getting punched in the chest. I'm now renting a nice 2-bedroom apartment. My siblings and their partners have helped me furnish it, and my top priority is ensuring my baby has everything she needs. Currently, I'm working to create a cozy nursery for her and hiring a nanny. Facing the end of my marriage is terrifying, but I'm learning to accept my new reality. When I notified Owen I was going to file for divorce, he started calling and messaging non-stop. His messages range from begging me to come home, telling me he will tell the truth and get therapy again, begging to see our baby, and then threatening to drag me home. I told him the divorce was happening whether he liked it or not because he failed as a husband and failed even worse as a parent. He then sent photos and videos of my things in the garbage and him and my brother-in-law trashing the nursery. His exact words, "I don't need it anymore." In the most disturbing video, he threw our baby's car seat in a dumpster. I do not recognize him or his behavior anymore. He claims to miss his daughter and me but is trying to make his behavior my fault for not doing what I'm told. This is not the man I agreed to marry. The man I married was smart, kind, gentle, thoughtful, and funny, but this vileness from him was waiting for me the moment I didn't obey and take the disrespect from his family to save him from the humiliation of his infertility. Before the fallout with his mother, he was nothing like this. It's certainly not an excuse, but I believe it all centered on him feeling emasculated and humiliated by his family. I just can't believe he couldn't at least stand up to his family for me and our baby, the one he said he would die for. I am not blocking Owen as my lawyer said to email everything he says to me to him, but the constant threatening messages make me scared to leave my home. Owen knows where I work and has repeatedly told me he will drag us back if that's what it takes and that I'm making him do this. My lawyer and I are working on a restraining order. But every woman who was attacked by her ex-husband knows restraining orders don't keep you safe. However, things took a turn when my father-in-law showed up on my parents' doorstep, and it's the reason I decided to update. My father-in-law asked to speak with me. My parents told him they would call me and ask, but if I said no then that was final and he would not be welcomed back. I only agreed to speak to my father-in-law because he told my parents he was there to apologize for his family and set the record straight. My dad called me as my father-in-law was blocked from calling me, and when I picked up, my father-in-law immediately apologized for his wife's behavior. He wanted to hear my side of the story as he did not believe I cheated. I thanked him, and let him know of course I did not cheat. I told him of his son's infertility and that Owen proposed we get a donor. I told him very clearly it was his son's decision, and that because my father-in-law and his family put blood as the only valid form of family, my husband made me lie so our child would be treated equally. After I finished, my father-in-law seemed stunned. He was quiet for a while, then asked if his wife and son could come over and see my daughter in person as they missed us and were ready to be a family again, but I told him no. Father-in-law then asked if there was anything Owen could do to fix the marriage, and I again told him no. Father-in-law tried to say I was being unfair, but my dad stepped in and said father-in-law was overstaying his welcome. Before I hung up, I told father-in-law that his son was sending me abusive messages daily and that if he truly was sorry then he should make his son stop. Then I hung up. My parents said my father-in-law was irritated that I did not respectfully say goodbye or give Owen a chance to save his marriage, but left with little fuss after my parents laid into him about raising his swine of a son to threaten his wife and child, telling his father must have worked because I haven't gotten a single message from Owen since then. I do not want anything from my soon-to-be ex, not child support, not alimony, not the house, or any of his other assets. I just need him to agree to the divorce and give up his parental rights so my little girl can grow up with a family who loves her unconditionally. I have a good degree and a great job, my child and I will be fine without him. Owen's lawyer has made it clear they're going to fight us for full custody. He has significantly more money than me, but my lawyer is confident in our case and I trust them. Today my mother-in-law has been trying to contact me as she wants to be in my daughter's life and is saying she is ready to accept her as she is. As if my daughter needs to be accepted by her. If it's up to me, their whole family will never see us again. Owen has destroyed hundreds of thousands of dollars of my electronics, clothes, furniture, and paintings. That's the only thing I will be making him pay me back for. I don't want any of his assets, just the things I worked hard to earn, and he destroyed. There is a report, I don't know what will come of it. I had been living with my parents for 2 weeks before the first post and already had started to talk to a lawyer. Whether or not me and my husband worked on our marriage, I planned on not living with him for at least a while after he said it wasn't my house, and my parents pressured me to get a divorce attorney immediately when I moved into their house. Even when I still slightly thought things might work out, I was preparing. I went back and forth mentally, but I knew this was not sustainable. My family did most of the work finding me an apartment and paying for furnishing it. Just took a while for me to leave my parents and physically move in. The only truly recent update is my father-in-law talking to me, and learning my mill wants to reconcile. Relevant comments. Comment 1. You're a fool not to get child support. You should go for court-ordered support, his paycheck garnished. OP. Maybe I'm a fool, but this isn't his child. He doesn't care about her. He just wants to hurt me and make me go through this. Comment 2. It doesn't matter if she is biologically his or not. Child support is for the child, and legally, he is the father. You'd be a fool not to go for child support. I get not wanting anything of his for yourself, but, as I said, the support is for the child and goes to the child and represents his part of the care for her, especially if you push for full custody. It's to help provide for her care. Also, what APOS? You're a saint to not push for what you're legally allowed to. God, what a dick. I'm glad you got her and yourself out of that situation. OP, he doesn't want this child. I'm beginning to think he never wanted a child, he just wanted to fit the part. I'm going to take care of my daughter. I don't need his money, she also has my whole family looking out for her. My baby will want for nothing. Why would I force money out of a man who does not love her, and has no connection with her apart from staying in my life to make me miserable? Comment 3, going to be buried in the comments, but how does one move out, find an apartment, get the rental papers taken care of, move into, and furnish a new apartment within 3 days? Seems a stretch. OP, this update is not chronological by day. I'd been living with my parents for 2 weeks before I made my first post, and my family was working to get me out of my parents' house the entire time, as well as furnishing my apartment. I paid for some of the things, and my siblings, their partners, my parents and many other family members donated and bought things. Trust me, I could not have done this alone. Update 2, March 4, 2024. Firstly, I'd like to answer a few questions many seem to have. No, I did not sign a prenup. Yes, my mill was very controlling from the beginning of our marriage, but my husband set boundaries with her when I asked him to at the time. Back then I was confident he would hold to those boundaries. My husband and I are not American, and we do not live in America. That is all I'm comfortable saying on location or ethnicity. A 12-year age gap is not uncommon for us, and my family was 100% for the marriage, as he was seen by all as an excellent match. For those saying I am wrong for not allowing my husband to see my daughter, you can kindly show yourself to the door. He has forfeited any rights the day he allowed her to be called a bastard, and his continued actions or inactions afterwards I think make that abundantly clear. Not wanting alimony or any compensation might be difficult for some, but I will not struggle without his money, and neither will my daughter. I may not have as much money as my soon-to-be ex, but I have a good amount saved and I thankfully never stopped working. My family has also put aside money for my daughter, and everyone is very supportive of us. I understand some might think I'm entitled to half his assets, and that may be true, but I don't want them and I don't need them. I trust my lawyers, they are doing an excellent job. I've already made my decisions and I stand by them 100%. Some of the evidence I've handed over of my husband's threats and the videos of him destroying our things will be admissible in court, but not all of it. My lawyer thinks what we have is enough for full custody, but I'm still nervous. Our divorce is another matter. I believe he simply wants to hang on to control. I have only spoken to him in person once since I left his house, and when I look him in the eye I can tell he doesn't love me anymore, or even likes me, which hurts a lot more than I expected. I don't understand why he won't agree to a non-contested divorce except control. Owen has partially paid me back for the damage to my property. The rest will be paid out in the coming weeks. We have settled this out of court. I was able to get the restraining order against my ex but not my mother-in-law or the rest of my ex's family. My mother-in-law continues to harass my parents to convince me to reconcile. This is a massive embarrassment for her family. My sister-in-law still tells people I cheated, but my friends have ripped into her lies and few people believe her. Being alone has made me realize I have been functioning as a single married woman since my little one was born, but now I have less of a burden on me. There are good days and bad days where I break down. There is much about my life before that I do miss, but I will never go back. I'm thankful the truth is out, even though it has caused me to lose a few friends as they've taken the side of my husband. They know the full truth and they still chose my husband's side. Thank you to all those that offered kind words of support. We are safe. Relevant comments. Comment 1. Glad you have a good family support system and happy you and your baby are okay. Did you ever hear from your father-in-law again? He seemed to be the only stable one on their end. OP, he has not tried to contact me or my family, and yes, he's the only stable one. Although he could do a better job keeping his wife from harassing my family, I understand he can't control her actions. Trying to win your wife back, and then sending a video of you trashing the nursery is an interesting approach. Also, how does someone get as entitled as the mother-in-law is? Like harassing OP's parents because their daughter didn't want to be with a pushover, is some real unhinged behavior. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.